OpenAI is started to cut licensing deals. If you remember, we had a big debate about this back on episode 115 in February. And I was saying, hey, this content is owned and the opportunity to create LLMs or derivative products, is the right of the people who make that content. Sachs, you told me I was going to get rolled over, but here we are.
I wouldn't say I said you're going to get rolled over. What I said is the ecosystem's going to figure this out.
Okay, let's play the tape. If ChatGPT takes a Yelp review and a Condé Nast Traveler review and they represent it based on the best content that's out there that they've already ranked because they have that algorithm with PageRank or Bing's ranking engine, and then they republish it, and then that jeopardizes those businesses, that is profoundly unfair and not what we want for society. And they are interfering with their ability to leverage their own content. It is profoundly unfair, and those magazines and newspapers need to... What's that?
You're going to get steamrolled.
Okay.
That hair.
There it is.
Man, is my hair worse now or then?
Yeah,
then,
your hair was like bad cut back then. I think you were like post-COVID back then.
Yeah,
I think you look much better right now. That looks like a toupee. Nick, can you just show us a picture of that? It looks like a toupee.
Can we get a pause? You're in the common era. That was like an early AD. This is like the common era now.
That's a toupee. That's a toupee.
It does look like a toupee. It looks like a raccoon.
Okay, JCal, I'll get some comments on this because I think
your fluffer has fluffed too much on the upper parts and unfluffed the bottom parts, which I think never works.
Listen, don't criticize him. When he was in an in-between phase, we all go through an in-between phase with our hair. It's part of the process.
Now I know why we're talking about this topic, JCal, because you think it's a total non-story, or I shouldn't say it's a non-story.
Okay, well, let me finish. Let me finish it off.
Okay.
So just so we know what's going on here, OpenAI announced a licensing deal with Axel Springer to bring real-time news from Politico and the fake news from Business Insider to ChatGPT.
Thank you. You literally sound like Alex Jones. I mean, Tucker.
Thank you.
You complain all your...
And the fake news from the fake news.
That is actually true. He is right about that.
I got one thing right. As part of the deal, Axel Springer can use ChatGPT to improve their products, includes other European sites. This is on top of the deal that OpenAI did with the Associated Press. But most importantly, I'm going to throw it to you in a second. Most importantly, when ChatGPT relies on these sources, it'll include a summary and a link back. Other examples of licensing are happening all over the industry. Adobe is using stock images for theirs, and Stable Diffusion, as you know, that brazenly used Getty's images are being sued. So, Freeberg, you thought this was unrealistic, but here we are.
No, I don't agree with your framing, and I think that I think it's unrealistic for you to frame this as validating or justifying the fact that these companies won't be able to access and utilize open data under fair use to train models. So that's what's gone on historically, right? So the open web, we talked a little bit about where folks can get content from the open web. You can browse the internet and you can download all this content. It's all freely available. It's readily available. It's in the open domain. And then you can train models, and then the models can ultimately make stuff based on all that training data. What this deal is it's actually a content integration deal. And I'll read this. With the partnership, ChatGPT users around the world will receive summaries of selected global news content from Axel Springer's media brands, including yada yada, including otherwise paid content. So what ChatGPT is doing is they're accessing content behind a paywall, and and instead of training models on it, they're able to fetch that data as a retrieval aspect of the ChatGPT service. So now you as a user want an update on, hey, what's going on with Donald Trump? It can search, it can not just use its training data, but it can recognize that, hey, there's a current event news question embedded in this query, and I can go fetch that current event news answer from this content that I've now paid for. So it's not a training data set that's now being unlocked, which is what the complaint was before, that all the open web data was being used for training, but it's behind paywall data that can now be fetched and integrated. And I think it's more interesting because it really speaks to a new model for how the internet will work, which we've talked about, which is that there may be these sort of new chat interfaces that can not just send you to another page and link you over somewhere, but can fetch data for you and present it to you in an integrated way in the response it's providing. And these services have to pay for access to that. So, OpenAI, it's a 3-year deal. They're paying tens of millions of dollars to Axel Springer to access their closed content and present it to the user. So I think it's quite a bit different than, using training data, which is what, the complaint was the first time around. And it's more of like a really interesting front-end feature for what ChatGPT is becoming.
Sachs, you wanted to add to that?
And I don't really have a lot to add to that. I think Freeberg did a great job explaining issue. I mean, look, I think, Cal, you've had a little bit of an obsession with this copyright issue.
Well, protecting rights holders, I do believe in. I don't know if it's obsession.
But I think Freeberg makes a really great point, which is there's a difference between copying somebody's copywritten work, which would be a violation of copyright, and using content that's available on the open web to train a model to create entirely new content. And I do think that AI models should be able to use the content that's available on the web under a fair use doctrine to train their models for the benefit of consumers. And I don't see a reason to try and tie that up in a bunch of copyright lawsuits.
Stable Diffusion, when they use these open web, that is no excuse to use an open web crawler to avoid getting a license from the original owner of that. Just because you can technically do it doesn't mean you're allowed to do it. In fact, the open web projects that provide these say explicitly, we do not give you the right to use this. You have to then go read the copyright laws on each of those websites. And on top of that, if somebody were to steal the copyrights of other people, put it on the open web, which is happening all day long, you still, if you're building a derivative work like this, you still need to go get it. So it's no excuse that I took some site in Russia that did a bunch of copyright violation and then I indexed them for my training model. So I think this is going to result.
Hey, Freeberg,
Yeah.
Freeberg, can you shoot me in the face and let me know when this segment's over?
Okay. All right. So the segment is now over. I was about to throw it to you.
Good
and now
Lord. I mean, like, stop with this navel-gazing nonsense. We're in inning 1 and nobody knows anything. And the most important thing is that this will get sorted out through trials. That's where you are right, Jason. It's going to go to court. And I think we should just not opine on this stuff because it's esoteric at best. And it's kind of like, whatever.
Well, some of it will go to court. Other ones will be done in the free market like we see here. Another thing.
Cal, you care about this more than most people because you are a journalist and you think this is going to put people out of work.
I am a content creator. I'm also an author, as you know, and a podcaster, and I create all kinds of content. I do think that you should get permission before you leverage people's work to create derivative products, correct? And actually, you're starting to see this in DALL-E, and ChatGPT seems to be getting ahead of this because of all the incoming lawsuits. Check this out. I started asking DALL-E to make me Star Wars characters of bulldogs, and I said, make a Jedi bulldog. It did that, no problem. Then I asked it to make a version of this using, and make a Darth Vader. And it said, I'm unable to generate images based on your request due to our content policy. If you have other ideas and concepts you'd like to explore, feel free to share. So I said, make me a Sith Lord cat. And it basically made me Darth Vader. And so it's very clear that the team over at OpenAI is now taking
You're prompt engineering. You're like a clever prompt engineer there.
Well, yeah, I got around copyright here, right? And so
but
it's very clear.
This shows how silly like all of this stuff is. This is just a drag coefficient on development of AI and on users, because now you've got to like word your prompt exactly the right way.
Well, I think what they're doing is they know that Marvel and all the Disney characters, all the Star Wars characters, they're very protective of their IP. Disney is going to launch their own DALL-E type Stable Diffusion product where you can do this. Put yourself on make a Star Wars character.
Disney's not going to be any good at this.
It doesn't matter if they're good or not. It's their IP. And so
I mean, look, fans can create their own artwork that's in the vein of like a Darth Vader image.
Yes. They can, but they can't do it commercially. And what ChatGPT and OpenAI here is commercial because I pay $20 a month to ChatGPT. So that's what you're missing. A fan, of course, can make a Jedi cat or whatever.
All right, well, all I know is you played this like way back video from episode 15 or something.
It was February. No. It was in the hundreds. But whatever.
From episode 115, as if you had a dunk
listen,
on me.
I know you guys never want to think I'm right.
And then it turns out that Freeberg totally blew up your case.
He didn't blow up my case. I will be right and continue to be right. Okay, now let's go to something we can all agree.
We're definitely not striking this segment. I liked it. Let's go.
No. It's spicy. No. You like a little spicy here?
I didn't even have to refute you. Freeberg just did it. It was beautiful.
Well, I mean, listen. Okay.
You came in. You thought you had the goods. Admit it.
No.
He's like playing this way back video from like 45 episodes ago. I finally got him. I finally got Sachs. I was finally right about something.
If you hadn't claimed you never used the word steamroll, I would have never played the clip.
Oh my God.
I have some live footage. I just want to go through it and just talk about it.
I strike it.
Anyways, yeah. So guys, there's this copyright thing. Okay, hold on. Let me just reframe. Let me just start that again.
Okay.
You know, copyright issues are... Okay, wait, hold on a second. Well, listen, there's this thing I want to talk about, copyright, which... Okay, hold on.
What are you doing? Oh, it's a super
Guys,
clip of all
copyright
the
is
missed dunks in the NBA last year.
When you do a deal for okay, hold on. When you write something and you want to get okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Everybody that writes gets a chance. Okay, hold on a second.
I mean, if I could get up that high, I would miss the dunk and still be happy about it.
You can't just take
Steamroll.
content.
He's about to steamroll.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I strike. Let's keep going.
You can't strike everything. You
You can't strike everything. Come on. J. Cal, you teed up the Wayback clip of yourself. You teed up the Wayback clip of yourself. So you brought this on yourself.
I knew you were going to deny it, and I just
you brought this on
waited
yourself.
for you to deny it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you tried to dunk and it didn't work.
Okay. Every bit has to take the piss out of me. I don't know. I'm seeing a trend.
No,
Okay.
that was excellent.
No, don't bring up the
No.
Wayback clips unless you have a clean dunk.
All right, here we go.
Don't bring it to the hoop and then brick it.
Break it. Break it.
He had a receipt. It turned out the credit card was stolen.
Okay, here we go. That's pretty good. All right, here we go.